Okay, so hi, my name's Cerys. I'm from the communications team at the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Growth Hub. So the Growth Hub really is one of 38 hubs across England, and we're here to support small and medium-sized businesses to grow. We launched in 2016, so we've been running quite a while now. And really the point of us is that we're the gateway to business support, skills and training opportunities across whether that's local support or national support. The idea of us is that we're not linked to any kind of other business support providers. We're completely impartial, and really we're an expert critical friend to have a look at your business where you are, and try and recommend the right business support, training and skills opportunities for your business. And there's absolutely no cost to what we do. So we're all publicly funded. So we're funded by government and EU funding, and that's the reason why it's at no cost to the business, but we're not free. It is a funded service that we all pay for. So it's built around the business review. My colleague Bethany, who'll be on later, she'll talk a little bit more about the skills review. And really, if I go through here, a bit later, I'll go into more detail about what the review is. But we've had over 5,000 business inquiries so far, 3,000 businesses that we've directly supported. We've spoken to lots and lots and lots of people, and we were also part of which the tourism and hospitality might best remember us for, which was the Kickstart grants from the back end of COVID. As COVID, we thought COVID might be ending at sort of the end of 2020, and then it came back with a vengeance in 2021. But we were part of the kind of Kickstart out of COVID grants, and we were a part of the handing out £1.4 million for £4,000 per grant, and we also had access to growth fund grants. Obviously all the Kickstart grants have wrapped up. Have now just finally wrapped up our access to growth fund grants as well. So talking of COVID, during 2020, we spoke to a lot of businesses. So we were more like I'd hesitate to say a counselling service, but we were really one of the first ports of call with people who would pick up the phone to try and talk people through what was an extremely confusing landscape of what business support, especially in the early days when it was all coming out. So we spoke to a lot of people, a lot of businesses in crisis, which we don't normally talk to. So we spoke to over 1,000 people. Is somebody scraping a plate? And I hear that. And who's muted? Anyway, so we spoke to a lot of people during 2020, and during 2021, actually these are only the stats for 2020, but as things got out of 2021, as we progress through now, we're starting to see businesses starting to pick up. They're starting to think about picking themselves back up during 2021, and now we're as going into 2022, we're talking to a lot of new businesses, so people who've maybe gone through the last couple of years and thinking they want to branch out, start their own business. Now's the time. Now's the time to launch that business that they've always wanted to do. What are they waiting for? That sort of thing. And we speak to people all across. You can imagine that
Ria, sorry to interrupt you. Ria, could you just mute your microphone? Thank you,
it's
Ria.
all in the kitchen next to the sink.
Thank you.
Could you shut the door, please?
Shall I just keep talking? Yeah. So basically, we do speak to a lot of people in in that kind of key area around Falmouth, Truro, Redruth, but we talk to people all across all across the region as well. You can see where the sort of dark green areas are. So we talked to Isles of Scilly as well. So we try to focus on getting those businesses who've not heard of business support, don't think it's applicable to them, and try and reach out into those areas where they're not so usually targeted by everything that goes on in Truro, Redruth and Falmouth. So who can we help? Almost everyone. Basically, if you're based in Cornwall or the Isles of Scilly, we will have a chat to you. So we will try and help as much as we can. If it's anywhere else in England, we'll try and point you to the right growth hub for your area. And really, you can be self-employed, sole traders. You can be a brand new business or a startup business. You can even just be thinking about starting a business. Like I said, we've talked to a lot of people over the last sort of 6 months who are really just sort of thinking, I want to start a business. I want to work for myself. I want to open this cafe. I want to start a cleaning business. We're getting a lot of cleaning businesses, but I don't know what to do. I've never run a business before, never even thought about it. So we can really take people from even just the idea of starting a business to launch. And then, of course, we talk to established businesses who've been going for 100 years as well, and they still need the support, and there's still new ideas that we can put into their businesses as well. So during the review, what we discussed. So really, we try to take a whole view of the business. We normally talk to businesses for about an hour and a half. For startup businesses, that's because there's so much to discuss, we'll normally talk to them for about 2.5 hours. So it's quite a long process, and we really dig deep into the nitty-gritty of how the business is run, the processes, the operations, and really discuss in detail. So things like who is your market? Who are you targeting? Do you really understand them? What do they want? Who are they? What do they look like? What is it that why do they come to you as opposed to somebody else? What influences their choices? And then maybe there's a new market, who aren't you targeting? So, who are you getting? But then who aren't you getting? Who isn't coming to you? And should they be coming to you? Do you want them? Is there a new market that you could be targeting that could be more profitable potentially? And that takes you to your pricing. Who is coming to you, and are you pricing it right? Is your market, can they afford a little bit more? Are they already paying top whack? Are you going for a high-end product? Is that high-end enough? What are your competitors charging? How much have you thought about your pricing in terms of how that affects your turnover, how that affects your profit? So what we talk to businesses a lot about at the moment is, well, always actually, is that businesses a lot of the time don't want to massively grow. So when we talk about growth, it can be it might not be, I want to open a whole new chain of restaurants. They don't want to work that. They maybe just want to actually work a bit less, but charge, a bit more money, so make the same level of profit. Or they might just want to, keep the same, but make a little bit more money, try and become a bit more efficient, a bit more productive. So how can we help them to think about some of the approaches that they can take to get their business goals, which is, becoming a bit more productive or efficient? So are you in control of your costs? So that's another thing. So thinking about the other side of that, as opposed to pricing, how much do things cost you? Especially at the moment, everything's going up, as we know, petrol, energy, but also just things like that affects the entire supply chain. So, how would we cope if a major supplier ended up just stopping supply? I spoke to a lady the other day who literally core element of their business, their major supplier just stopped trading. They can't get that product anymore, so she can no longer produce her goods, and she was in a desperate hunt to try and find an alternative supplier where she could keep her costs and her business the same. So, are you in control of your costs? How is that going to affect all the way down the supply chain? And what are you going to do if some things change, as we know they are doing at the moment? And again, is your business processing, are they efficient and effective? What are you spending your time doing? So we try to break down with businesses what they spend the majority of their time doing. We speak to a lot of business owners who are really doing it for the passion. So they really love doing something, and they really love doing the day-to-day. So they might absolutely love serving customers. They might, love engaging with people, but they really don't like doing the finances, or they really don't like doing, they really don't like doing the marketing. They think it's a complete pain. It's a waste. They just, they'll say, oh, I spend loads of money on Facebook adverts and it never gets me anything. What a total waste of time. So is those processes and efficient and effective? And are you draining all the joy out of running your business by doing things that you don't need to be doing? So those are sometimes asking some challenging questions about about running a business, because as opposite to that, some people might love doing the day-to-day, but then forget all about the things that they have to do in terms of business planning and finance and marketing. So they ignore all that because they love doing the day-to-day business. So again, are you making the best use of digital technology? So this isn't just about social media. This isn't just about marketing. This is all about just the general business processes. Are you making the most of any digital technology to try and make your business more efficient? To try and so that could be things like financing. Have you got software packages to try and help you with your accounts? Some businesses, quite large businesses who are turning over a lot of money, are still trying to run their business on an Excel spreadsheet. So we ask those questions. Who are you doing? Why have you not thought about doing it? And if they've never thought about it before, and if they've never been asked the question, it just might never have occurred to them that they might be doing, that there might be other better ways of doing these things. And then one of the major things that we're talking about now is obviously about sustainability. So there's lots of new legislation coming up, which is, inputs like plastic tax, so that there's lots of new things that could be on the horizon around sort of either punitive measures or extra charges that your business is going to have to incur if you don't get your sustainability and your models of business right in terms of environmental impact. So so thinking about sustainability, especially for those new businesses, trying to get those processes, because it's really difficult to try and change suppliers. If you've got someone and then you suddenly think, actually, I'm going to have to build in reducing my plastic now. So getting it right first time, or as having that process is really important. And lastly, we then discuss all about you, because I might talk to two businesses who are running a cafe or running a business, and they might be on the same high streets. They might be very similar customers, very similar, profit turnover, very similar businesses, but they want completely different things. So it's really important that we don't forget the person within the business. So we talk all about them, what they want, what their what their background is, what their lifestyle is, who they want to do, why they're running the business, what their story is, where they want to take it. Do they want to leave the business to their kids? Do they want to bring their family in? Do they want to be wrapping it up in 10 years? What is their goals? And the person is really at the center of that. And we have a lot of conversations where businesses, especially during COVID, where businesses have been absolutely wrung out by all the things that have gone on. So not forgetting the person at the center of the business. We can talk about profit, we can talk about turnover, but really it's the individual and the person and how they're coping and their time, and do they want to spend more time with the kids at the beach rather than running their business. Those are questions that are all really important. So what happens next? After the review, we then signpost. So we don't actually, at the Growth Hub, we don't deliver anything ourselves. So we're basically there to point businesses to the right support that's out there. So the next steps are that there's loads of different business support programs that are national. And obviously there's all ones that are local, so mainly EU funded business support that's around Cornwall as well. So there's lots of different support programs, and the idea of the Growth Hub really, instead of the businesses having to research what's out there, they'll come to us, and we will then pick 2 or 3, probably, you know, probably not as more than that, to point them in the direction of. There might be lots of other information and guidance, business sector specific, that they're looking for. So if they're looking at intellectual property or copyright, or starting a community interest company, we've got lots of information and guidance that we can point them in the direction to those information sources. And then depending on what we've discussed, then we can also say that you need to be looking for external professional support. So if you're spending 30% of your time doing your accounts, and you absolutely hate it, and you're not very good at it, then why have you never thought about getting an accountant? You know, why don't you offload that, get some external professional support, marketing, finance, some of those kind of key aspects, think about bringing in, and you know, so long as that stacks up in terms of, you know, you're covering your costs, that will allow you to free up your time to produce more potentially, then, you know, that would be a good business decision to make. Now, we can't recommend, oh, you know, go to Bob's accountants down the road, but we can say, here's some of the things that you want to look for when you're looking at marketing companies or accountants and things like that. So we will have those conversations about getting external professional support as well.